one of Solex's very unique products that they manufacture. And again, just to be clear, this company actually does manufacture everything themselves. Lawrence Swenson, the founder of the company, has been in manufacturing many decades, knows like, I don't know, who knows how many factories all over different countries. And so he has really created a nice suite of products that are available to people inside of this MLM, this direct selling organization. You can buy them as a regular customer if you want, or you can buy them as a member or an affiliate, get a special price, sell them to other people. And again, a lot of these products and devices used to be available outside in another company that he owned, just like a traditional company. And now he's generously kind of bringing them in-house to Solex for anybody to get access to, which I think is great. And also to have the ability to sell to other people. So in this product right here, this is the Infinity Food Detox. I could have sworn it was called something else, but yeah, I think it used to be called something before this. Anyway, so how does this work? Because it looks super funky and weird. You put your feet right here on like little, like you can't see from the photo, but there's like electrodes, like a metal sort of conductive material that you put your feet in right there. And you can sit in a chair, usually sit in a chair. And then a little control panel, it's very easy to use. There's different settings, different levels of intensity. So how does it work? This is not, just to be clear, this is not an ionic foot bath, okay? There's no water, all right? You're putting your feet on a conductive metal element, okay? And then the key is what's being sent through it. So it uses radio frequency, okay? What's radio frequency? Just go to Google, look it up. It's just basically it's a very high frequency, okay? So it's on the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? So you might have heard of like microwaves. There's also radio waves. There's X-rays, right? There's infrared, right? There's light waves. So part of the light spectrum is also part of the electromagnetic spectrum, okay? Some of these you actually see, right? We see colors, right? Okay. Some things you can't see, like you don't see radio waves, okay? Now, radio waves have been used, and radio frequency has been used in different sorts of devices. And I would say it became most popularized and used a lot predominantly in China and Korea and Japan and a few other countries over there for a long time. Some of the most popular usage, and then it kind of spread, by the way, as kind of health started to become a thing in the last like 20 plus years, especially. And one application of it is using it to open up fat cells to actually do body contouring or cavitation, they call it, which is basically inducing fat loss in a specific area of the body. Now, that's not necessarily what this is designed for. This, when you put your feet on the bottom, it sends, and again, just to be clear, it's not like microcurrent, okay, even though it feels a little bit maybe similar, but it's not microcurrent, okay, just to also be clear. It's actually sending radio frequencies, okay, through the feet. Now, what's so special about the feet, right? So why is it sending it through the feet? Okay, so your blood in your body is circulating everywhere and circulates to your feet and your hands a lot. Because why? Because your feet and your hands are used to sense things, okay? And so it has some special nerves and a special sort of blood supply as well there, because it also is used to help your body temperature control, so to control its body temperature, and also to sense the temperature of the environment, okay? So it's kind of has some specialized structures. So like your feet and your hands actually move and a lot of blood essentially in them. So that, like, I'll give you an example. You ever like get a tiny little cut like on your finger and you're like bleeding all over the freaking place and it's like bleeding. It's like this tiny little stupid thing, right? You're like, why is it bleeding so much, right? Same thing with the nose, actually. The nose has a lot of blood supply. So yeah, so that's just showing you just getting a lot of blood. Meanwhile, if you got like the same type of cut, right, higher up your arm, it would be like no big freaking deal, right? It would just be like, you just wipe it and it'd be fine. So because you're getting so much blood to your feet, by actually sending radio frequency there, what it is actually doing is it excites, it vibrates water molecules and your hemoglobin. Your hemoglobin meaning your red blood cells. All right. So it's actually transferring some of that energy through resonance. If you don't know what resonance is, just Google the term. Okay. Type up cellular resonance. You can type that up as well. But basically, it's like it's like shaking. It's essentially like shaking or vibrating those types of cells. And what happens is that actually creates heat. As there's many different reactions that take place, one of which is a thermal or heat sort of effect, okay, as that happens. Now, there are other ways you can excite water molecules and hemoglobin to create like a response. And you can actually do that also with light energy. You can do that with infrared, delivered through multiple ways, okay? So as your feet are on this thing, you got lots of blood going to your feet, being pumped around your body. Then what's happening is that hemoglobin and the water get really excited, literally the excitation of that frequency and energy. And then what happens? Well, your body knows this and it responds, and it sends more of that blood and fluid to other areas of the body where it is cooler, right? So like, wouldn't your shoulder be cooler than probably your feet in this situation? Yes. So your body's like, okay, well, let me like move and shuttle more of this blood and fluid upwards, okay, at a faster rate, okay, to the rest of my body. So it's a response. Now, the same sort of effect does happen, like if you were to walk on hot coals. If you've ever seen people walk on hot coals, the reason they can do that and not get burned, as long as they're walking at a good speed, is because that heat, as it hits the feet, there's so much blood again and pores on the feet that it actually is able to cool it down with fresh blood that's not as hot. Okay, so there's a heat transfer that happens, and then it quickly moves that blood away. That's how people can walk across hot coals, if you didn't know that. I could talk a lot further about that topic, but basically that kind of illustrates the point here. Is so if you're also kind of exciting that blood and that fluid, then the body is like, oh my God, I got to move that to other areas of lower energy and lower heat. Okay, But why is it doing that? Because the body's always trying to stay in balance. Why? Because if it just let that blood sit there and it didn't move it, there would be a problem for many reasons, right? So it always has to keep things moving. It always has to dispel heat. It's always trying to manage overall body temperature so you don't get too cold and it screws up all kinds of enzyme reactions, or you get too hot and then you just pass out and die, or who knows, right? So your body's always trying to maintain different aspects of its metabolism, and that's ultimately why the body has a really powerful response to this device. So it's going to shuttle that blood upwards. Now let's read up a little bit here because I've been blabbing a little bit. Let's see. It will generate a frequency of 1 megahertz. All right. So that's 1,000 hertz. Okay. I think it's 1,000. I think it's a mega, milli, mega. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 1,000 hertz. So they're actually giving you the measurement right here. Okay. So it's not like millihertz. That would be different. This device pulses the frequency into your body in 10 millisecond bursts. All right. So it's obviously getting a little bit more technical here. If you get back into the research on why, so there's different devices out there that might use radio frequencies for different purposes. Okay. One might be to destroy follicles in hair, so you don't regrow hair in that area. Okay. One might be to open fat cells in an area, so you have less fat in an area. Okay, so in all these different settings that they found in research over a long period of time, like this one, depending on how fast they're sending those bursts of frequency, is designed for this really like efficient excitation effect, okay, on the blood especially. All right, and so this, you can kind of look at this modality as like a way of directly impacting the blood and increasing the circulation response, which in and of itself will have a lot of different health benefits, too many to really even talk about, okay? And then when they say low-grade fever, so they're talking about hyperthermia, a hyperthermia therapy. If you've ever heard that term, you can go Google it. Where you find more common use for that is with like cancers and diseases. but also infrared saunas and sauna therapy and things like that, okay? So low-grade fever, meaning like it's not going to raise your body to such a high fever, you have a problem, right? Because obviously, if your temperature's too high, that's not good, right? So it's not gonna go that high. But so low-grade fever, meaning like maybe you're at 99 degrees, maybe now you're at 100 degrees, maybe you're now at 101, maybe you're now at 102. So there is actually ways, by the way, of being able to measure the core body temperature. That was done a long time ago, by the way, in production of these types of technologies, to find out exactly like how much can you raise the core body temperature, you know, because obviously they would need to figure that out so they don't like make people pass out and stuff like that. So this is very, very beneficial to the body when you raise the core body temperature. So if you go into Google and you look up traditional sauna therapy, so try to eliminate infrared saunas and just look for traditional Finnish saunas. If you just look at what are the health benefits of traditional saunas, okay, traditional sauna therapy or sauna protocol or whatever. So a lot of those benefits associated with sauna, traditional sauna, where it's a really hot room that you're going inside of, and they have a lot of really good research going back decades now on this. A lot of those benefits correlate or cross over to this technology, okay? So in other words, if you're not one of those people and you're like, I love going into a hot room and feeling like I can't breathe, if you're not one of those people who doesn't want to have a big wooden box and figure out where to stash it, and by the way, I sell lots of sauna brands. If you're interested, you can talk to me. But if you don't want to do that, then this is like literally the perfect option. You can literally carry this around, throw it in your car, use it in any room you want, and it's very, very efficient, and you don't have to suffocate inside of a wooden box. So this is very, very direct, because think about it. Let's talk about what's more efficient for a second. If you're inside of a hot room, a sauna, okay, this first off, you shouldn't have any clothes on, number one. Okay, so if you're using this device, you can't have any socks on. That's the only thing that you have to eliminate, okay? So you get to keep all your clothes on, which is great, although it does warm you up pretty efficiently. So most people it's pretty funny if you test it on them. They're like, they start like removing layers and stuff like that. So you don't actually need a lot of layers. So a nice thing in the wintertime. But basically, how a traditional sauna works is you have a convection heater in there. The room gets to like 180, 170, 190, 200, depending what your setting is. I know, pretty hot, right? So then after some time, your body is sensing the skin temperature, and now it's sending, what do you think it's doing? It's trying to take some of that blood that is in the periphery of the body, okay? And it's near the surface, closer to the skin, and it's trying to move that warmed blood more to the core of your body, and it starts to move it around. It also starts to sweat because it knows that if the water's on the outside of the body, the air temperature can potentially evaporate that and cool the body down. So it's trying to cool itself down, okay? But it's a more indirect or inefficient way, okay? Because you're trying to heat the body from hot air, from the outside in. But with this, you're doing it through direct frequency, and you're directly going to the blood and the water, okay? And you're directly increasing the energy excitation, cellular metabolism, okay, of the blood, all right? And then, so it's just a direct, there's really terms for this process in physics, which I know would be really exciting for you to hear. Inductance and transference, and like, it can get really crazy. But there's all these different principles of how that energy is transferred, basically. But it's like plugging something into a socket, you know what I mean? You have like a direct transfer right there. So this is a very, very efficient way to do what essentially a sauna, a hot room, is doing, okay? With a lot more convenience, okay? And price point, at this price point of, why can't I scroll down? Oh, there we go. At this price point of $900, if you don't know, saunas will range anywhere from, depending on what you're buying, like $1,500 up to $5,000, $6,000 is the range, depending on the size that you're getting and features and things like that. There are some brands that I also sell that can even go up to $10,000 plus. So yeah, pretty good deal, right? And it's faster, and you can keep your clothes on and all these things. And then the other cool thing about it is, and if you're going to be at A4M show in Vegas in mid-December, they will be here and they'll have all of their equipment and you can test it and all that kind of fun stuff, just FYI. They also have all their equipment set up in Utah as well, where they're based. And you can always call them as well and find out if there's maybe another like location you can try. But anyways, some of these settings on here go like, I forget like what level it goes through, but most people, because this is so efficient at doing what it does, so it says the default is 30 minutes. I always recommend that. Yeah, if you can do 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that's fantastic. You get great benefits. But you can adjust the intensity of the level, okay? Most people can only really handle in the beginnings like just a few levels, okay? They actually have to work upwards. I mean, there's very few people who are even pretty experienced with this that can use it on the max level. That is how efficient this is. Like when you're using a sauna, traditional sauna or infrared sauna, people can really condition themselves pretty efficiently, like over the course of a month or two, and really be able to handle the heat pretty well, okay? But with something like this, it is so efficient that that's what I've seen, that even people that are pretty experienced and have used this for a period of time are pretty dialed in with their health, they still actually can't even comfortably use some of the highest settings, which is pretty awesome if you think about it, just from the standpoint that I'm just pointing out how efficient it is. So, and you can also, you have like a longer time where you can condition your body, right? So it's not like, okay, I've used my sauna and I've already conditioned myself pretty quickly over like just 2 months, and now you've conditioned yourself. But with this, it's going to take you quite some time to condition yourself at some of those higher levels. And again, it's a lot more efficient. So if you're like, oh, I got 15 minutes, busy day, right? Or man, I feel like I'm getting a little bit sick, maybe it's a virus, maybe it's bacteria, I'm going to raise my core body temperature and induce a fever here and just blast it out of my body, right? It's pretty cool for that, pretty good for that. You can set it on the highest settings and be brave and just sit there for like 10 minutes and you'll be like, oh my God, and just blast through it. And then maybe later in the day, do another quick 10 minutes. So you can kind of use it in a really efficient manner on a really high setting, or you can do it when you're getting used to it on a really low setting and just hang out there for 45 minutes or an hour, be on your phone or, read a book or whatever. Okay. So what does it say? Every time the body temperature drops 1 degree, the metabolism is reduced by about 12% and immunity is reduced by more than 30%. Why do I want to talk about this? Because this is a major widespread problem. Over time, people develop hormonal issues, okay, with their endocrine system. And it starts to affect everything in their body. And I mean everything, okay? But especially if somebody has chronic issues or sleep issues or whatever, as this happens, or maybe you have a thyroid imbalance. And by the way, a lot of people have thyroid issues that they have not found on regular testing. It's extremely common. And that is one thing that, and along with adrenals, that majorly affects your core metabolism and body temperature, all right? And so when they talk about like your metabolism reduced 12%, that term metabolism is extremely broad. So 12%, it's like, oh, it's not so bad. I see, I'm still 90% or whatever. I'm good. No. That's real bad. That's a really, really bad thing, because every day, 12%, all right? And what does that mean? It's a broad term when they say metabolism. There's so many things. It would be like a 3-hour video when we talked about, well, metabolism, well, let's get started. We're talking about 1,000 different things in the body that are going to be impacted. I mean, it's not, and I'm not even like, that's not even correct. It's 10,000. It's God knows how much. Temperature affects enzymes. It affects how reactions happen. It affects all kinds of things. Literally, your body has to compromise. It says it's like you're driving. You're trying to get somewhere on time, but your car can't go over 30 miles an hour. I mean, I don't know. That's a basic analogy off the top of my head. If it goes over 30 miles an hour, your engine will overheat and you'll have to pull over the side of the road and you'll never get to your destination. Okay, that's my example. So you have to drive at 30 miles an hour. Okay, so imagine that scenario, but like, you have to be extremely efficient with your job because you work for FedEx. Do you think you can pull it off delivering a certain amount of packages? No. So what are you going to do in that situation? You're going to say, okay, what I have to do is I have to deliver less packages, right? That's literally the only way, right? So you say like, okay, I could deliver like 4 packages a day, but really you got to deliver 40 or 400. What do you think is going to happen over time if those packages represent nutrients, all kinds of factors to keep your body functioning properly, okay? And it compounds. So every year, every day it compounds. You set yourself up for some serious problems in older age or early on, okay? Especially if you have something active that's a problem right now. So this is a serious, serious issue. So this is a longer conversation about overall how you improve your immunity, and you need a whole health protocol. But here's a very quick modality that basically, if you fall into this category, for the window of time that this affects your body, which by the way, it's not just for 30 minutes, like your body still is in an elevated state for several hours afterwards, by the way. So if you consistently are using this, and you don't have to blast yourself, I mean, if you're just at least kind of raising core temp a little bit and getting things to move a little faster, for those hours, you're giving your body a big, big gift of energy, okay, where it can start to function normally and can catch up. So it's like for a moment, I was giving your car the ability to drive 70 miles an hour. So you're like, oh, that's great. I can catch up on the 400 packages I never delivered, right? So that's not the perfect analogy. Your body doesn't fully catch up on everything, but that absolutely does also happen, okay, to a certain extent. So what happens is, as part of a protocol, once again, I'm not saying this is going to solve everything. I'm just saying, like, oh my God, imagine for these consistent times you use it, you can give yourself that window where your immune system and your metabolism can start to catch up. And it's like you start to dig yourself out of that hole, so to say, that's been building for years. So you're slowly kind of reversing things. Now your immunity is a little bit better. Now your metabolism, okay, all these things function a little bit better. So it's part of a protocol, but it is a great, great, biohack, so to say. It's a great, great tool to assist you in slowly climbing back to a proper function again. So you're still going to have to address things like, okay, is there something going on with my thyroid? You know what I'm saying? And why did that even happen in the first place, right? It's not like, oh my God, if you use this, it's going to fix all your thyroid problems. You know what I mean? I wish that'd be awesome. Can it help? I mean, can this improve a wide variety of metabolic functions? Yes. Can it indirectly affect different endocrine glands and thyroid? Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It really has a very global systemic effect. It's awesome. Is it going to fix these things? That's a whole other conversation, right? No. Okay. So, but it is an amazing adjunct tool. You want to use this to get short-term benefits, and you want to use it for a long-term plan where you're including it in other modalities and other things you're doing. Does it make sense? Okay. So if you're constantly looking for a cure, you're constantly looking for like the magic bullet, doesn't exist. You generally have to know a sequence of things and then how to schedule those things. So by the way, I do actually coach people on that, so you don't have to feel overwhelmed or anything like that. But this is a really, 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 really cool tool. So they just talk about some of the benefits. Has a stand for it, which is pretty nice. Again, they say foot detox, but again, don't be confused by ionic foot detox baths or ionics foot baths. That's a different type of product that's out there. You put your feet in water and stuff like that. So don't be confused by that. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So this one also comes with a belt that can be worn around the waist that amplifies the energy there as well. And it just speeds up the process, okay, just so you know, the oscillation of the waves, okay? Now, the last thing to say before I go here is that, yes, initially you may feel the energy more in your ankles, your calves, things like that. If you just feel it in those areas, mainly, this is a sign that your overall circulation in your body is not so good, all right? And not a good thing. But also it should excite you, because what you will find is doing multiple sessions over and over and over again, you'll start to feel it in your upper legs, then in your hips, you start to feel it in your stomach, your back, whatever, okay? And you may feel in certain areas of your body where you need more support, more blood flow, okay? Or maybe where some injuries are or whatever, all right? But as you feel it move up your body more and more and more, and you will also notice stuff like just feeling like you're warming up faster than normal than you have in the past. Like there's different things, your body will adapt, it will become, these are signs of improvement, okay? So these are good things. And then you'll start to feel like, oh, okay, you know what, this is pretty manageable. I think I'm ready to increase the level now. So let me go to a higher level because I can handle it, right? This is all a really good sign, all right? You know, is there a release of toxins, things like that? Absolutely. So it is good to take a binder that Solex sells. They do sell a toxin binder. When you'd want to take that is basically a couple different times. One before bed when your liver is a little bit more active. The other time is to take it like, I like to do 45 minutes before a meal, and if that meal has fat in the meal. And the reason for that is if you take the binder 45 minutes before eating, it's going to end up in your small intestine, and in your small intestine, when your liver and gallbladder dump toxic bile after filtering all the toxins from using this device, it'll basically dump it in, and it will actually be part of the food when you're digesting, and the binder will bind up the toxins, so that way when you excrete the food that you've digested, you excrete the toxins without reabsorbing the toxins. Okay, so there's a sequence here to pay attention to. Now, is it the only binder that you need? Not necessarily. Depends on what you have going on health-wise. Sometimes you need other specialty binders and stuff like that, depending on your protocol. So just be aware of that. Okay, here's some instructions. Oh, the last thing to say is hydration, hydration, hydration. When you start using this, it is very important to work on your hydration, meaning drink water, okay? Not a tea, not coffee, not sodas, not tap water. If you are really looking on how you improve your hydration, which is actually complicated, just like everything, no worries. I've studied water products, hydration, for a long, long, long time. And it is a fun subject, just like everything, as you try to comb through all the information out there. So you're welcome to reach out. If you are one of these people and you're like, I need to buy this product, you can find the link below where you'll be able to order it soon, okay? Because you can do pre-orders right now, all right? It's just about to roll out in January. But yes, you will definitely, if you want the max benefits from this, 100% you need to seriously work on your hydration. So you're probably going to have to talk to me, to be honest, because I know it sounds easy, like, I'll drink more water. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. But believe it or not, if you don't know what you're drinking and the water's not kind of prepared right, then what you can do is dehydrate yourself more. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a longer conversation. I'll make a separate video about it, but just trust me, that part of the problem with chronic dehydration, which is in about 95% of people, is what they find in testing. So you're probably one of those people. And even if you're one of those people that are like, I drink a lot of water, honestly, if I asked you a few questions, that could be part of the problem. So if you drink a lot of water and it's not the right stuff, let's just say, you will actually contribute to more dehydration and also loss of minerals and a lot of other things, and kidney stress and all kinds of stuff, okay? I know it's overwhelming. You're like, God, I can't even drink a lot of water anymore, right? But if you do contact me, I'll make it extremely easy. I will just ask you a few questions and I'll say, do this, this, and this, and you'll be good, okay? So there you go. So you don't have to spend like 200 hours looking at like everything water related. It's a big subject, by the way, but when you do get your water situation correct, you really get it dialed in, everything in your entire life will improve. Because water first, air quality, food quality, sleep quality, lifestyle, don't stress. This is the kind of the order of priorities. You got to dial those in things first, all right, before you buy something like this, or at least at the same time, okay? If you haven't dialed those things in first and you're like, oh, I'm going to get this device and my whole life is going to change. I mean, I'm sure you'll get some benefits from it, but you could get like, it could have 10 times the effect, in other words, if you work on these other areas. Okay, and I am available, by the way, for consult on that, all those other aspects that I talked about. Anyways, that's it for now. Thanks for hanging in there on a long video, and stay tuned for more.